Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Right now it's 11:41 p.m. on a Sunday night, and I spent a good part of Friday, all of Saturday, and all of Sunday messing around with NixOS. Hold on, Sorry about that. Just wanted to turn the lights on outside. So, you shouldn't use NixOS on your personal computer. And I know the basic idea behind Nix and NixOS. I have some light experience with it, and I think that it's not useful on a daily driver. Okay, I think it doesn't provide any extra value. Not to say you shouldn't use it as in it's going to inhibit you in any way or it's going to stop you from doing anything that's bad for you. I'm just saying that there's no real point. And why do I think this? Well, Nix is just a declarative package manager, but NixOS provides some extra features on top of that. It provides declarative system configurations, and it stores each system build and allows you to easily roll back to it. Now, this actually addresses a lot of pre-existing issues. It's really good in a lot of ways. First and foremost, it addresses system breakages. So, I've heard this a lot. People say that with NixOS, you can have rolling release, you can have the most up-to-date packages, and you can have pure stability, maximum 100% guaranteed stability. Well, okay, that's a bit of a misnomer actually, because the packages can actually break. I would say that it guarantees system integrity and accessibility, right? So it allows you to always use your system. Even if you update and a package makes your system unbootable, you can just boot into an old system build. And so let's talk about all the pros before I get into the cons. Next, it gives you reproducibility, so you can duplicate the exact same environment down to the environment variables, down to the package versions, everything on as many machines as you want. That's really cool. It provides package dependency isolation, which is like a little known feature. Not a little known feature, but something we don't talk about that much. But I think that's actually probably the most useful feature for a daily driver. And lastly, free CI/CD. These are all super cool. I mean, free CI/CD, holy shit, right? Like, throw away your Ansible playbooks or whatever they're called. But as it turns out, these are not actually that valuable. And let's talk about why. First of all, in terms of system breakages, let me provide a hypothetical scenario here. Okay, you're running NixOS on your personal computer and your hard drive shits itself. What did you lose? Well, you actually lose all of your personal documents, your personal photos and videos and important files. So assuming you have important files on your personal computer, which I don't know, you probably do, let's say that you need to put file backups. So you start backing up all your files and your computer shits itself on NixOS. What did you lose? Okay, theoretically you lost nothing. If you were smart about how you configured everything and did things properly and correctly and didn't take any shortcuts. So you still have to do that effort of file backups. Now let's say you're using bleeding edge Arch Linux, and you're doing your file backups just like you would on NixOS, and your computer shits itself. Now what do you lose? Well, you lose your system configuration, you lose your software, you lose your .dot files, and etc. Well, okay, let's just throw the .dot files into the file backups along with your personal files, and it's not very hard. And so now all you lose is your system configuration. So you lose which software you have installed and which versions and etc. Well, okay, the versions don't really matter because tomorrow you were going to run, Pacman update all, and the versions would have changed anyways and become automatically configured. So what did you really lose? All you lost was the list of software you had installed on your computer. Okay, now is that list of software like particularly difficult to recover? No, because once you reinstall Arch Linux, you will inevitably run into I want to use a particular software, but it's not there. So what will you do? You will just go ahead and install that software. Depending on which Linux distro you're on, that will take anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute. But hey, problem solved. Okay, so in terms of the system breakage, it's not a huge deal. And for the record, the system breakage that I'm talking about here is during routine operations such as software updates or software installations. Breakages when you're experimenting and doing dangerous things and you expect your system to break can be mitigated by just using a virtual machine or doing it on a separate machine. So although NixOS would make that a little bit more convenient, it doesn't really change things that dramatically either. Now there is another part to this. Let's talk about like the time saved. So let's say your Arch Linux distro one day updates and you install a faulty package and it makes your system unbootable. And you did everything right, you had your .files, you had your personal files backed up. You still have to go through the process of reinstalling Linux. And that especially makes experimenting with new software difficult because you don't want to install things that might accidentally, break your system and make it unbootable. Well, guess what? For the vast majority of Linux users, this is actually also not a problem. Okay, for most people who use something like a staged release distro, something like Ubuntu, something like Fedora, these are backed by for-profit companies that have a vested interest in making sure that when the software gets to your computer, it's not going to fuck shit up. And that's why they are staged release distros. That's why their package managers will not give you the latest version. It will give you the latest, safe, confirmed, tested version. With no, but with like a series of checks and etc. to make sure there aren't things like dependency conflicts and problems that are just going to pull up out of nowhere and ruin things for you. So, okay, for vast majority of people, this issue of system breakages, being able to roll back to your previous build, etc., actually it really doesn't matter. So, let's talk about reproducibility. In terms of reproducibility, this is actually a situation where I think NixOS actually is worse than other systems. Earlier I said overall NixOS is not bad for you, but in this case, in this particular case, it is actually bad for you. And why am I doing this, man? I look like Trump right now. Well, in this particular case, it is actually bad for you because think about it, right? Why would you want a reproducible user environment down to the detail? Like imagine every time, if you want to change a simple setting in one of your applications, you want to go into Firefox and change it from like light theme to dark theme, or you want to go to your panels, your home panels, and rearrange the order. Instead of simply, using the typical user interface, like click, hold, move it over, release, you actually have to open up your configuration files, then reference the docs, find the option that corresponds to that particular thing that you want to modify, then figure out exactly how to manipulate its position using the settings and etc. Then you have to actually rebuild your system and verify that it works, and in a vast majority of cases you'll have to troubleshoot why it doesn't work. Okay, what the absolute freak, bro? Who in the right mind would want to do that? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, the reproducibility for a user environment like most of your user applications and such is completely pointless. Like it doesn't solve any problem. Like God forbid I open my application and it's in light mode. Oh, gee wilkers, how terrible. Now, proponents of NixOS may say that, well, actually you can still modify the applications imperatively. It's like this is the old way. It just you could just use NixOS for things that you want to maintain. But again, like, there's basically nothing. Like the category doesn't exist. Like on a user environment, what exactly is there that's so critical that you need to maintain it? We already talked about .files. Just throw them. Like, this is a solved problem. Okay, people have been doing this for a very long time. The vast majority of people don't use NixOS, and they don't have issues with losing all of their system configuration. A lot of people just have it on GitHub, and they have even install scripts that put everything into the right place for them. So again, I question what is the point of going through all this issues. And okay, free CI/CD. I'm not even going to talk about. Okay, why would you want free CI? Why would you want CI/CD on your personal computer today? Okay, and then lastly, the thing that NixOS I think actually does win in, which is package dependency isolation. Now, for the vast majority of Linux users, again, this is not an issue because they are using staged releases. And even if in your staged release there is a dependency conflict, okay, I hate to say it, but just use Flatpak, bro. just use snap, okay? Like it's not that deep, all right? Like stop freaking out. But for people who are on rolling release like Arch and some packages their dependencies haven't been upgraded, but another package's dependency has been upgraded, and now you want to do a full system upgrade, and now these two have a dependency conflict. Okay, yes. In this case, NixOS does actually win because it does provide the package dependency isolation. But first of all, you could just use Nix on Arch. Okay, this is not a feature of NixOS, but a feature of Nix, which means that you don't need your you don't need your whole system to be built around Nix to have this feature. And I'm talking about NixOS on a daily driver. That's my specific criticism here. And second of all, these kinds of dependency conflicts can usually be resolved by sitting around for a day or two, because if you are on a mainstream distro like Arch, which there are probably, I want to say millions, but at least hundreds of thousands of people using, some unemployed NEET is going to encounter this issue and solve it before before long. Let's just say you will run into it, but someone's going to fix that issue. And so I mean, come on. Who are we kidding here? It's not the end of the world if you have to sit around for a day or two without updating your packages. So this is why I have to admit I actually don't think that NixOS on a personal computer it has any added benefit. What is the point? Why would you use it other than, hey, I want to use it? Okay, do whatever you want. I mean, it's your right. Use a headless system for your daily use. What do I care? But if we're talking about, is there a reason to use it? I think no. Don't use it. You should not use it. There's no point. It is pointless. So yeah, thank you for watching this. I had to do this like 8 times because I'm talking like a salesman here, and it's actually harder than I expected. But there you go. Okay, flame me in the comments, please. Have fun. Thank you very much. Tell me I'm an idiot, but I'll always be Mr. Clever.